Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the stock operator, and what we're going to do in this video is just a little bit less editing on these type of market update videos where I go over the market monitor and I go over the specific indexes. I've found that some people who are viewing, kind of just want to hear my original thoughts on the market and the market monitor. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go over some interesting things that I've developed on that, specifically towards the stage analysis side and like where we are in the market and what kind of interesting things are happening underneath the surface. And then we'll hit, all of the major indexes, the S&P 500, the QQQ, gold, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and that sort of things. And so, hey, if you guys are into that, stick around. All right, so what we're looking at here is the IWV. This is the index that I like to track when I use my market monitor. And we've been in a yellow cycle, as you could see. I draw these trend lines to kind of get the average length of each of these cycles. We've been in a yellow cycle, and what I did after the average number of days of a yellow cycle is I just put a red one there. We're not at a red cycle yet, so I'm going to have to change this. But so far, this yellow cycle is proving to be pretty strong. What are we up here? We're up 1.7% from the average yellow cycle. So another strong cycle. And there's no new distribution happening under the surface. It's just a very, very strong market. So yeah, we're yellow day 9, and typical yellow cycle lasts about or goes down about negative 0.35. And we are up, if I look at here, we are up, about 1.2%. So it's a really strong cycle. And it doesn't look like it's slowing down. We are seeing some volume come in, at least to this index. But yeah, it's hard to do TA on this index because it's a smaller index, not as popular, but it does track properly. But the volume is a little bit suspect. So with that, I want to kind of change the video. I want to go to the market monitor side first, and just kind of show you guys some interesting things that that I have kind of been working on. Making how do you say, a cool chart for the stage analysis that I think you guys will find pretty interesting. Okay, so what you're looking at here, this is the stage analysis, and I'm changing it up a little bit. I changed the way I do my stage analysis. Essentially, I added some stocks to stage 1, and I added some stocks to stage 3, and took away stocks from stage 2 and from stage 4. But essentially what you see here is kind of how the market works, right? This is the April, here I can move this thing forward. This is the April low, when we had this kind of spike in stage 4 stocks, right? And after you get the spike in stage 4 stocks, what happens is you get a spike or a uptrend in stage 1 stocks, right? And then as that's happening, you're getting a decline in stage 4 and a decline in stage 3. And then, of course, you could see this general uptrend in stage 2 material and stage 1 at the early side of this kind of development of a bull market, right? And so now what you could see is like, this is the stage 2 stocks, and we're at the highs, during a trending market, right? But typically when you get up to about 40% to 43%, you tend to either do two things. If it's going to continue like the same kind of bullish market that we've had before here, and I could show you guys this, if we're going to continue with the same sort of bullish market before, that would be something more lines like this, right? So that's a pretty interesting knowledge to know, because we're not seeing that at all. We're seeing that it's very strong. There's not a lot of pullbacks. Like in the S&P 500, there's a lot of pullbacks in between, right? Pullbacks here. And we're not really seeing that at all. So that makes me think, okay, are we doing another COVID 2021 kind of a thing? Not sure about that yet, but we are at the high end of stage 2 stocks, which means that it's highly, or more likely for a pullback to happen from this level. But I'm kind of just eyeing stage 3 stocks and stage 4 stocks. And that's another thing that's really interesting about this period, um, is the heightened level of stage 4 stocks, and the kind of low level of stage 3 and stage 1. Um, this is a picture of basically a breakout. This was back in what is this, in December? And if we look at December on the like right around here, uh, this is when it was triggering on the stage analysis right here, when this kind of thing broke out, right? Of the stage 4 stocks broke out, and then stage 3 kind of picked up, and of course we had a big decline in stage 2. And so we're starting to see that, like, there's a decline happening in stage 2 stocks. Now, yeah, during the other bull market, it was very steep kind of drawdowns, but we haven't seen that yet. So, basically, when you start to see stage 2 stocks below 40% and stage 3 stocks above 30%, that's when the market is really going to come under pressure. And it's not at the moment. It's still kind of early days, so to speak, which is incredible, right? And then, if I can show you this, this is back further data, but I just wanted to show you guys the resemblance of this the stage analysis to 2021. Okay, so before we get to 2021, this is basically the stage analysis from the onset of the bull market, which started in 2022. Okay, and what you can see here is, this is stage 1 at the onset of the bull market, right? Very, very high stage 1 stocks. And similarly, we had a very, very high amount of stage 1 stocks in early April. So that's akin to a longer term bull market. That's why I was kind of bullish and waiting for the decline that never happened. And it seems that way, that it's never happening. But one thing to look for, as a bull market develops, and even on a short-term tactical pullback, is, like I said before, the stage 2 stocks hitting about 45, 43%, right? As you could see here. So we're kind of there. And, similarly, stage 4 stocks decline typically when it gets this high. And that's an interesting thing about this bull market that we're in right now. If you look here, from 2022, whenever the stage 2 stocks got to about 43%, stage 4 stocks were at very low levels, right? Like 11%. Right here, it got to 43%. Stage 4 stocks were at 7%, right? Here, stage 4 stocks were 45%. Stage 4 was 13%. Now look here, we're back at 46, 45, and stage 2 stocks is about 25%. So it's interesting because when people say, like, people are bearish on this market, I mean, and granted, there are a lot of stocks that are mooning, but there are still a lot of stocks going down, right? So it makes sense, for people to be bearish, because if they're in the wrong stuff, they're losing money and the market's going up. It can be a very tough market for a lot of people. Even though you go on Twitter and you see that everybody's killing it, they're up 3,000% this year. The stage analysis would suggest that, given where we are in stage 2, there's a lot of stocks that are in downtrends. Okay. So it shows you that there's a bifurcation of the market. There's the AI spend that's happening, and there's everything else, right? Which is the normal economy, which I think is not doing so well. There's, like, basically the speculative economy, and then there's the normal economy. So that's very interesting where we're at right now. But, long story short, given that we just had this big spike in stage 4 and then stage 1, big spike here. Yeah, we did have one. What's the date here? December 2023. And if I lower this, December 2023, that is about right here, right? So, that's a previous kind of dip before a new bull market. But I mean, this has been a very strong trend. Interesting that it's happening that way. So, basically, long story short, what I'm saying here is stage 2 stocks are pretty extended. It typically doesn't get more bullish than it is right now. So that's long story short on the market monitor. If I can go over to some other things here, let me just show you guys some of this stuff. Here we go. So another thing I want to show you is the put call ratio. I didn't make a chart of this, but it's just been very low. So it's kind of corroborates what I was saying earlier, is that there's two types of markets going on. You're either in the hot stuff or you're not. And the hot stuff is getting heavily bid up and it's going very strong. And that's what you're seeing in the put call ratio, why there's extreme greed in the put call ratio, essentially. And we're starting to see correlations in the single digits now, which is extremely bullish, right? And then we've just seen number of stocks making 20% moves, extremely bullish. I should make more charts of these for another video. But you know, and then number of stocks above the Bollinger Bands, extremely bullish, right? So it's interesting. What's happening is there's basically stocks in the speculative side that are extremely bullish, right? There's an incredible bull market happening, and then there's a slow kind of drip decline of everything else, or not everything else, but just majority of, or I guess 25% of stocks plus a little bit, right? There's essentially there's half of the stocks that are not doing well at all, but they're not dumping. It's not a panic. They're just going down. It's like a silent bear market, essentially, out there. And what we're seeing, okay, so the one thing I also wanted to show is the short-term momentum up and short-term momentum down. We had a down wave recently, and now we are going, at the onset of the yellow cycle, and now we're at a kind of a peak here. Once I get the data today, it will be more apparent, but we're at a peak here, and it should decline. Now, another thing is like this TD buy is ticking up. This is getting pretty bearish here on TD buy, which tells me that the underlying kind of stocks, you know, there's more stocks actually in slight downtrends than there even are stocks in slight uptrends. But the stocks that are in these uptrends are just dominating with giant moves, essentially, which is very interesting. And then also this anxiety index is starting to get really low here. It's at 17K today. Once I do the data after today, it's probably going to go even lower. It's getting interesting because at major tops, you typically see this type of bifurcation where, you know, we have two different markets essentially, which is very interesting. That's happening here. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you. This kind of data here, I was kind of getting bearish on the long-term breadth, but of course it was another buy the dip opportunity when the long-term breadth got close to 0. Now we're back up to 28, so that's bullish again. So that's basically all I wanted to show you with the market monitor. Got a cool chart for you guys. So that was this. So then let me just kind of show you the SPY, the S&P 500, and do some Wyckoff analysis on this index. And as you can see here, it's just a very powerful trend. Everything, we're above everything. Now there's a lot of volume coming in here towards the top. And if we see from when this volume started to come in, let's see how much we're up. We're up about 2% from there. So, you know, that's not that much considering, okay, 2% right there. So, not much extension. I mean, it's just, we're just in a grind higher bull market phase. Essentially, it's very, very strong. It's akin to after COVID. If I show you guys after COVID, let me see here. Let's go to after COVID. Here's after COVID. It's akin to something like this. When this is the COVID decline, we're kind of in this area. We didn't even get one of these, which is stronger, right? But we didn't even get one of these, you know, let me not do that, but we didn't even get a kind of mid pullback at all. But we're kind of like in this area where the market could kind of just grind higher and then eventually kind of dump. And the dump will be pretty fast and very rapid, and it will take away, you know, maybe 2 months worth of gains, 3 months worth of gains. Is kind of where I'm kind of seeing the market now. But yeah, so just wanted to show you guys that. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, we're just very, very strong, but interesting underpinnings of the market that there's a lot of stocks that are actually going down. So let's go over some other markets. Let's go over gold really quick. Gold is just in a massive uptrend, and this is another akin thing of like gold goes up. It's typically when things are not looking so hot in the normal economy, which makes sense with the stage analysis, right? If you're seeing this many stocks in declines as stocks are doing really well, gold is kind of signaling that like there's something underneath the surface. And what I think it is I think it's like these private credit companies like Apollo. If you see Apollo Global Management, KKR, Owl, these private credit companies, Ares, they're going down right now. And so I think, gold is kind of sniffing that out, that or potentially. I mean, just there's nothing wrong with gold. It's just going straight up. So if you got gold, we've been long gold, but yeah, there's nothing wrong. I think it needs to go parabolic from here. I really do. Because it just needs to start going parabolic. So that's that. Let's check out Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin too, it's starting to go parabolic. So we had this little undercut and now it's breaking out. We turned bullish last week if it got it right here, and now it's been doing that, and now it looks to be ready to break out. We have the volume to support it. So Bitcoin looks bullish as well, which makes sense. It's finally starting to move like gold, and it moves very quickly. And it bounced off all the key levels. So that's Bitcoin, looks pretty good there. Ethereum as well. We got the undercut of this candle right here. And then it back tests the quarterly moving average, and now Ethereum is straight bullish. So there's nothing really to see there. It's above all the anchored VWAPs from both Fed meetings. And it's back in a bull market, and it undercut and shook out these guys, which it needed to do. So that's what happened there. And then let me see the IWM. IWM is starting to kind of go too, and that's what you're kind of seeing. But like, look at the volume; it's really low right now, and so I mean, it could be a good sign. But we have had a lot of green days in a row. Let me see, kind of. Yeah, maybe it's akin to something like this. Not so much, but we're at highs, and it's making a. Let me check out this really quick for you guys. Yeah, see, this had some volume behind it. So, and then it failed. So maybe the lack of volume is actually bullish in IWM, right? The lack of volume here, but we have gone green 1, 2, 3, 7 days in a row. So that's interesting as well. So hey guys, oh wait, no, last one is the QQQ. This thing is coming back into this uptrend channel from the beginning of this bull market, and yeah, like I said in the stage analysis, it's similar level of stage 2 stocks. All the supply is steadily green, but we're in the lower side of this little channel here. So that could be a bearish kind of divergence there, is that we are not all the way back up into the top side of this channel. But we did fully reclaim the channel and back into this bull market that started in 2023. Very interesting. So that's all I basically see there. And so, yeah, I hope you guys have a great one. And oh, by the way, so my Wednesday video will be the last video for a couple weeks. I'm going on vacation. And so if you watched this far, I really appreciate you guys. And thanks for liking and subscribing the video. Really helps out the channel and gets this content to more people. And yeah, I mean, thank you guys so much for joining, and have a good one. Peace.